Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for being with us, beginning at actually 2 p.m. That's Eastern time, and that's Monday through Friday, or anytime you would like to use social media. There's Facebook and Twitter and, well, it's X now, and all those other things as well. But thank you so much for watching. You can find us on Abundance Television, where we are syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. We appreciate being with you every single day. Continue sending emails. You don't know what that does for me. It just makes my day, because you mean so much to me. Donna at donnasedge.com. That's Donna at donnasedge.com. And the shows are all about you. And you guys love Julia Christine, and she's with us right now. And Julia, I got a ton of emails, and they were almost the same thing. Different people so now, not the same person over and over again.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks are remarrying, and they're finding themselves with kids. And now there were mixed messages about that. Some were, I'm trying to get along with my in-laws, with my kids from my husband's family or whatever. We're trying to make it all work. We're trying to put it all together. Is there an easy way? And then there are kids that I've sent. I've got this mother-in-law or this father-in-law from you know where, and I don't know how to handle it. So I'll let you go ahead and get started. First, let's talk about the podcast.
Sure. My podcast is called Life After Breath, which actually, for some of those people who are getting frazzled and just like fed up with the world or with their family members, it's probably a good little tidbit to listen to every day. It's a daily podcast. Again, it's called Life After Breath. It's about 3 or 4 minutes of just talking about how to live your best, most fulfilling life, be happy, and receive all the desires of your heart. And then about 3 or 4 minutes of just deep breaths to connect yourself, to find a space of ease and a place of calm to begin your day. It is the best way to start your day. I do it every morning. It's literally connecting, clearing your mind really of all of the busyness, all of the noise is what I like to say, and taking a deep breath and moving forward with what you need to accomplish for your day. And it's really empowering. So that's my podcast. I am a healer, and I use energy to help people, like I said, live their best lives, connect to themselves, connect to whatever it is that they need to connect to. If you're into it, I do a lot of chakra cleansings and clearings and things like that. And just literally help people find balance within themselves to be able to move forward. And so that's what I do. And that's, I'm not married. I don't have children, but I have an understanding of self and of people and how to move through the world and be able to maintain your sanity. I love to remind people that this is your life, so you are in control, even though it so often feels like we're out of control because we're pulled in so many different directions and so many people that we feel like we have to please. And so that's where I want to say, take a deep breath and remember that you are in control of you. And literally, that's all you are ever in control of.
I love the deep breaths. Everything I do has a rhythm to it. And the breathing helps me have a rhythm. Now, this is Denise. Okay, so Denise sends an email to you. And the email says, I started out, I think, being a pushover. And now I can't seem, and I'm kind of like that. I'm a pushover. I want to get along with everybody. When you're raising a weird family, that's the way you are. So apparently Denise was too. So she started out being a pushover. What can she do to balance things?
Okay. So, I understand. I think that the first thing I want to do is take out the judgment in the word pushover and just like allow yourself to understand that you have always tried to accommodate and please the people in your life. And that's cool. That does not make you a pushover. And maybe you mean that you're gullible and susceptible to, and that just means that you're trusting. And you know what I mean? So watch how we talk about ourselves. Seriously, what are you claiming for yourself? When you say, I am a pushover, you are literally claiming that title. Is that what you want? Is that what you want over your life? I don't think so. So start there. Stop saying that. I'm super trusting. How much better does that feel? I like to make sure the people in my life are taken care of. How much better does that feel? Mm-hmm. Now, then we need to make sure that while those two things are true, that you are still creating boundaries around those facts, around what that means. And how you create boundaries is you understand yourself. When you put boundaries around a piece of property, it's not about your neighbors. It's about your property, right? And so we think about boundaries, and it makes it feel like we have to have this dividing line in the sand with that other person. And that's not what that means. It literally, boundaries is all about knowing you. And so when you are feeling like you're being pushed around, or when you have a choice of whether or not to help a person, you need to understand and remember that no is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain to them why you're not going to be able to help them move, why, and then you feel bad because there's not really a reason except that you don't want to. So I have to make something up and now I'm lying and that feels uncomfortable. No. I thank you so much for asking. And normally I would, I'm not going to be able to. They don't need to know why. They don't need to know any of those things. When you are in a position of wanting to find balance, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is sit down and take a couple of deep breaths. And when we do that, if we were to do that right now, just taking 3 to 5 breaths, you can feel this like calm just come over you. All of a sudden, your heart stops racing. Your brain stops racing. And when you're in that space, now you can say, what is the best next logical step? And you can do the first thing. You can also get to a place of, I'm not sure whether or not I should do this. Is this right for me? And from that place of calm, how it feels, if you're in a neutral space and you think of something that feels really good, your body is going to automatically go to that really good place. If you're in a neutral space and you think of something and you really don't want to do it, your body is automatically going to allow you to feel, that's not what I want. And so when you're being asked to do things, or when someone's coming at you and you're just going to like lay down and take it and be the quote unquote pushover, what we need to do is ask ourselves, is this true for me? Does this work for me? Because this is my life. And if you don't tell some or help someone, and then you feel selfish, and see the word selfish, it's so interesting. I think people know this by now, but I am a vocabulary person. Words are so important. And we bastardize words all over the place. All over the place. And we glom onto words that become fad and make those words into something else. And so when I feel like we've talked about this ad nauseum with variety of words. And boundaries can be one of those words. Because Donna, if you're asking me to come out and help you move to North Carolina and I say no, you could look at me and say, she has all the time in the world. She's being so selfish. You're being selfish. I need your help. Cool. You need my help. Who's being selfish? Who's being selfish? You're asking me for time from my life. Who's being selfish? If someone's going to get upset at you for not helping them, who's being selfish? Like, let's look at the definition of that word. You know what I mean? I need my time. I need my space. I need the 3 minutes every morning to sit and breathe, whatever that is. And there are things that I'm not willing to give up from my life anymore. And that is brilliant. Brilliant. When I started this process, because let me tell you, I grew up being the biggest people pleaser or pushover, and whatever anybody need, I would do it. I would always be there. And on one hand, I'm really proud of that, because while it can be a quote unquote toxic trait, it literally saved my life. And then also it has become a superpower of mine, where I can walk into a room doing what I do today and know who needs my help. And know how someone's feeling, even without them opening their mouths, because I have so fine-tuned my people-pleasing abilities. You know what I mean? So let's not look at that as a negative. Let's look at that as a positive, as long as it's serving you. And when I went from working 60 to 80 hours a week to pulling back and putting boundaries in place with my bosses and saying, if I'm working my butt off, which I am, 40 hours that you pay me to work, because I wasn't getting. I'm back. Are you here? Okay. So when I was working 40 to 60 hours a week, and I said, or I was working 60 to 80, and I said, if I can't fulfill your expectations within that 40-hour work week, that's not my problem, because they're your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't have anything to do with me. And you start making those changes and kind of putting those boundaries in places. And my boss literally came to me and said, Julia, I'm really proud of you and everything. You've made massive changes and you've really become this confident, powerful woman. But I feel like I've hired a different person and have to learn how to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thrilled. I was so excited because it was like proof of the changes that I'd made and of the practices that I'd been practicing. And I don't think she meant it as a compliment, but I was so excited. And so people will notice as you start to evolve and start to say no, and that's okay. And they might say like, you've really changed. And you can say, you know what? Thank you for noticing, because I'm really starting to put myself first in my own life. And you know what? It gives me more to give other people, because I'm actually fulfilled in my life and am able to maintain that balance of me and the rest of the people that are pulling on me.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, because I'm a people pleaser too, but now part of mine was I actually wanted to be busy all the time, because it took me out of the situation in my mind. Is that healthy?
Right. No. I mean, because it's not it, because it's almost like putting another Band-Aid on another Band-Aid. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not taking care of the quote unquote problem, which is, what about you? Because trust me, I was working 60 to 80 hours a week because I didn't want to be home by myself. I didn't want to be home with myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't know myself. And so I would keep myself busy doing, and people pleasing all over the place. And so it seemed like my life was amazing, but there was nothing for me. And so inside, I am deteriorating. And then it's almost like, this is a silly analogy, but like if you're having people over for tea and you have a teapot full of tea and you pour into everyone else's cup, all of a sudden your teapot is empty. Not only is there none left for you, but there's none left for the other people, the people that you love, the people that you want to give tea to. You have to make sure that you are fulfilled first. And I say this in my podcast sometimes, like literally visualize your heart center filling up with love. And so that it's like a well that just starts to overflow. That overflow is what you have for everyone else. There's always plenty to go around when you start with you. When you start with everybody else and you're the last person on your to-do list, you're never going to get to it. And pretty soon that well runs dry.
And also in that situation, some people are going to get more water than others. You're going to be shortchanging other people because it's really not going to be even at all. You know what I mean? Some people are just suckers. Some people will suck the life out of you.
Right. But that's where those boundaries come in, because the more you start to know yourself and love yourself, the more you're going to recognize, oh, that person is not giving anything back in return. That person is actually not for me. And you're going to start noticing the energies that are coming off of the people that you're giving to, because you are fulfilled. You're not so desperate to put more out to maybe eke something back. Well, someday they're going to return that to me. Someday they're going to love me back. Someday they're going to because as soon as I give them enough, they're going to return it. BS. No, that's not how it works. If you are full of love and don't need that from anybody else, you can see and you can pick and choose who you want to give that to. Now, when we're talking about family members, that can go one of two ways. It can be, you know what? I love you because you're my family member and I'm going to give you this much of me, but I have to put boundaries in place because your behavior affects me and I'm not letting other people's behavior affect me anymore, because I'm in control of my thoughts and my emotions and my reactions. No one can make me mad, but your behavior wants me to be angry. Your behavior does affect me and put me in a negative space. And so I'm not going to allow that anymore. So I am going to keep my distance from you. You can also completely cut that person off. You can, you know what I mean? Or you can just grin and bear it. But grin and bear it only lasts so long because you don't have to do that. And we've talked a little bit about this before, and I'm not going to say that this is the answers to the stepchildren, the family, like that kind of dynamic. But there came a place in my life, and I've actually talked to several of my clients and friends about this. We as a society and generationally through centuries have prioritized family so much that blood family is so important. But I remember coming to a place with my father, who, was a troubled man and all of the things, where I was on the phone with him and we hung up, and I thought, I don't like you. And I realized in that moment, like, no conversation. It was a fine conversation. Nothing went wrong, but no conversation with him felt good. And this was before I started caring about myself. And I said to myself, if I met him at a party through a friend, I wouldn't want to see him or talk to him ever
Go the
again.
other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally
I'd be
go
like, absolutely. Nice to meet
Good to
you. I'm
see
going to go
you.
talk to somebody else. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so just because he's my father, literally a sperm donor, why do I feel like I have to sacrifice my time and energy and emotional, for that? I don't. But because that's what we've been taught and trained and has been passed on, like I said, for centuries, there's this need and necessity to no, but it's family. I have to muddle through. Let me tell you, no, you don't. Protect yourself. This is your life. You are in control of that. You are. And so, yes, you might have to see them on the holidays, and yes, you might have to put on that happy face. That doesn't mean you have to sit next to them at the dinner table. That doesn't mean that that you're not allowed to excuse yourself and walk out of the room when the things that they're saying or the behaviors that they're displaying are not in line with you. You can leave. You can go for a walk. Pretend you need to go out and get some fresh air, whatever it is, and get away from them. Clear your mind, clear your head, come take those breaths and come back to you. And remember that you don't owe anyone anything except for you. That's it. Because for some reason, they aren't fulfilled. So one of the things that actually happened this week, I was doing one of my sessions with a client, and she kept talking about this negative energy and negative energy and negative and negative people and toxic people. And I've said for a while, I don't believe in toxic people. People are not toxic. They're just, their behavior can be toxic, but people aren't toxic. And I've come to a place where I strongly believe that there's no such thing as negative energy. There's just energy that no longer serves me. And sometimes things are going really well and I'm using this energy, but all of a sudden, it doesn't work anymore and it feels yucky. And that's just because it no longer serves me. Donna, I adore you and I think you like me pretty well. And yet your energy is not my energy. So if I tried to step in Donna's energy, it's not going to feel good. Does that mean it's bad for you? No, it doesn't mean it's negative. It just means it's not right for me. Those clothes don't fit. So I get rid of them. And I try new clothes on. They don't fit. I'm not going to buy it. The same thing for a relationship. This sweater used to be my favorite sweater. I had a best friend for 25 years, and all of a sudden it started getting itchy, and it wasn't fitting right. It was just too baggy, or it was just too tight, and I was like, I don't like this sweater anymore. This sweater doesn't feel good, but it's my favorite sweater. I've always said it's my favorite sweater.
Why? Why is it your favorite sweater?
Because it's always been my favorite. We get to a point where, but they're
Are we
family.
in that box? We're in that box. We
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's the way it's always been. But when you take off the sweater and you're like, oh, wow, look at this sweater. This sweater feels so much better. That means that's the energy that is for me. That's the person that I want in my life. And so I want to empower you to realize that this is why I was going into this statement, is that my client at the time, she said, but what about somebody who you encounter and she's like, they're just nothing. They're the most hateful person you've ever met. There's never a positive word. They're always talking about how terrible everything is. They're talking crap about other people. There's never a positive thing coming. How can you say that that person's not full of negative energy? And what I said was that person is desperately trying to find happiness. And they're just trying to feel good. And they're doing it in a harmful way, both to themselves and to the people around them. But they are just like every single one of us. And they don't know what to do because it feels like things just get it worse and worse and worse. And when you're on that downward spiral, one of the hardest and most important things to do is stop and take a breath and look at where you are. And then, like I said, you change your environment. You go and you get yourself in a better headspace. Watch a silly movie. Listen to angry music. That is such a reliever for me. I will like bang my head listening to angry music, and it puts me, and then I start laughing at myself. And you can't laugh and be angry at the same time. It's not possible. And so now all of a sudden I have pulled myself out of this downward spiral because I'm not even thinking about the muck or where I was in, but I'm in a better place and I keep going. And if I look at that stuff too soon, I'm going to be instantly back in it. But if I keep myself in that higher space, in that laughter space, in that I'm having a good time and still getting things done, and okay, it's been a few hours, now let me look back at that thing. And now the thing is here, but I'm up here. I have a completely different perspective of looking at that thing. And I can say, oh, this isn't about me at all. This is this person's behavior. Okay, now I get to put boundaries in place and decide how much time I want to spend with them, what I want to do with them, blah, 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 blah. Or if it's not a person and it's a problem, or let's say it's finances, you might be like, you know what? It's not going to feel good because whenever but at the same time, because I'm in a better feeling place, I can look at it and I'm going to have much more clarity looking at it. And it's important to look at your reality. Figure a few things out. When you feel yourself starting to go in that like pit of your stomach, despair or whatever starts happening, put it down and move away, because because you are not going to be able to handle it and deal with it the way it needs to be dealt if you're in it, if you're in that depressive state, because that's just going to spiral us down again. And when people don't understand that, they stay in the spiral. There is something called the law of attraction. I don't know that I've talked about it too much here, but it is a universal law that where you put your thoughts, you've heard people say like where your focus goes, energy flows, like little things like that. But it's true. When you start feeling really good, doesn't it seem like everything falls into place and everything's like, wow, this good thing happened and this good thing happened. When you start feeling bad, all of a sudden another bad thing happens and another bad thing happens. And it's like, if you see a car on the street and you're like, I have never seen that car before. That's such an interesting looking car. All of a sudden, it's everywhere you go. Have you noticed that?
How many times have you bought a car and you never really paid any attention whatsoever about the model? Then you start seeing these cars everywhere.
Everywhere, exactly. And that is literally the best example of law of attraction, because where your focus is, good, bad, whatever, it doesn't matter. The law of attraction is not going to choose for you. The law of attraction is literally this person's energy or thoughts are focused on this really bad stuff. They must want more of that. Have some more. Have some more. Just like this because you keep thinking about it. Have some more. And it's like, what is going on? I keep stubbing my toe and dropping my phone and and all of these bad things are happening to me. What you do is stop, take a breath, change your mind. It doesn't have to be, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. No, why would you waste a day feeling yucky? Change your environment, change your thoughts. It is not as hard as we make it out to be. I promise you. Go do something fun, play, change your mood, and all of a sudden, the law of attraction is going to invite more of that into your mind. Oh, wow, look at, she really enjoys this. Here's some more of that. Here's some more of that. Here's some more of that. Even if it's just a thought. Oh, she likes thinking about pretty things. Here's another thought about pretty things. Oh, and what has she thought about this pretty thing yet? Has she noticed this flower over here in her garden? And all of a sudden, more and more of these amazing things start coming into your life. It works both ways. So be careful where your thoughts are. Be careful about those things. And a person who's practicing that cannot help but exude that kind of amazing energy. So when someone feels like they have negative energy or they're bad people, they're not bad people. They just aren't focused on positive things for their life, and that is what is exuding out of them. It's not about you. 9.5 times out of 10, somebody's anger or frustration or ugliness is not about you.
It's
And that's
their
a huge
issue.
thing to remember
It's
in
really
all
their
of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted.
I found something that's very interesting too, because you've known me for quite a while now, and you know I was going through
Yeah.
this really weird time. And in the South, it's been known to say all family is like you know you can take crap off of somebody, and it's called, well, blood is thicker than water.
Yeah,
You know,
disagree.
you hear that all the time. And then finally, you said something. I forgot what it was you said, but it was something that was like a wake up call for me. I was like, whoa, I don't have to sit in this. I don't have to. The moment Phil and I made the decision to move out of the state, it wasn't running away from anything. It was taking ourselves out of a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And several people, because it really caused a lot of chaos. I even called my employers when I was here. And I got fired on one of them. They couldn't give me a reason other than something weird was said. But anyway, the moment that we made that decision, things started falling into place. We sold the land. We found a house. Now, sometimes you can have a little hiccup in the system. There was a little hiccup last week, but I think it was meant to be. I needed to know I was going to have good neighbors. I had to know that. And we're going to have awesome neighbors here. I mean, it is. So sometimes a hiccup, you can, and I got all frustrated, just going wild and crazy, thinking, imagining all these things that didn't even happen. So what the outcome of it was that I know I've got good neighbors.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because when you are going to have obstacles. Hi, we're still human. All of the things I'm saying, it's like, oh, Julia, you make everything, you're so polypositive. Don't trust me. I get this all the time. If you want to put a smile on your face, or if you want to feel good about something, talk to Julia, because I can twist anything around and show you the positive. Because the thing is that everything always works out for you. And that feels like a stretch. Well, that's not true. Okay. I understand not being able to feel that. But I even said to you, you get everything you want. And it's true. And when you start saying that and believing it, it's true. Law of attraction. I get everything I want. And you're absolutely right. Now, there is a more general way. If you don't believe it, it's not going to happen, because you're saying it, but you don't believe it. It's not about the words you use. And so instead of being so specific of everything always works out for me, go a little broader. I can't wait until I start to feel like everything I do is prosperous. That's true. You can believe that. You know what I mean? That feels better. I believe that. I'm going to start saying that. Instead of everything always works out, I can't wait to feel like everything is always working out for me. Cool. And now I'm excited about feeling that way. And do you see how I've changed my mood? Instead of crap, everything doesn't ever work out for me. No, I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to pretend that everything always works out for me. And that's not the case. You are going to have obstacles. You are going to. It's a thing. And usually those obstacles actually end up showing you more and working out in your favor. This worked out in your favor. You have
perfect.
Exactly. You have the neighbors that you've always wanted. There are a couple other things that, like, actually, this was the best thing that could happen. In the moment, it felt like crap, but it was literally the best thing. I didn't get the job. You want to know why? Because it's not really what you want, and you just can't see that. Because down the line, they were going to be horrible people to work for, and you've been talking about wanting an amazing boss. And while that salary seemed like it was exactly what you wanted, and that was let's say the school that you wanted to work for, that principal and you would have been like oil and water. But this next one that's coming, perfect.
That's the one.
But you don't know that, and all you focus on is, I didn't get the job. Remember that anxiety is literally the fear of unknown. And when you start to worry about something, what are you doing? You're putting your energy in that negative, ugly space, and that doesn't feel good. You're literally fearing something that hasn't even happened yet. You are making that stuff up. You're making it up in your head. Well, then if that happened, then this is going to happen, and then this could happen, and then this could happen. They're going to sue us for this land. They're going to all of the things. Why would you do that to yourself? None of that has happened. I have literally done this. We all do it. We all have those conversations in our heads in advance that don't happen, or we imagine all the horrible things that happen. I've literally been walking down the streets of New York doing this and wrapping up all of the nightmare in my head and crumpling it up like a piece of paper and throwing it across the street, because that's not true. Why would I fixate on something that hasn't even happened yet? That is not true. Because what if it turns out exactly like I wanted to? How exciting is it to know that whatever happens is going to be the best thing that happens for me, because that's what I'm putting my focus on. Whether I get it or not doesn't matter. And actually, if I don't get it, I'm so excited, because that means there's something better for me.
And I thought this was the best.
Exactly. And if that seems so good, how much more amazing is this other thing going to be? Because that seems so good, you know?
And that's in our mind. We have to go into a commercial break.
Yeah.
We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody, hang in there, okay? We'll be right back. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of the Cobb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching. That's why we have Julia Christine with us right now. She has her own podcast, and she helps me to see things, because you know what I just said during the commercial break? See, we have a show during the breaks. So I just said, I don't like what if. I just don't like what if. Just because I use it in a negative way. What do I need to do? How do I need to turn this around, Julia?
Well, be aware of how you feel. Because when you say, what if this happens, and what if this happens, and what if this happens, that doesn't feel good. All of a sudden, my heart is racing. I'm full of anxiety or fear and all of this stuff. What if, instead of being on that downward spiral, this is what I said to you, what if we use what if to lift us up? Because what if it's the most amazing thing that happened? And then what if, because I get this, I can help somebody else with this? And oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that for them. And then what if they do this? And what if this? And all of a sudden, we feel really good. We feel really excited. And honestly, Donna, I've never said this to you before. I truly believe the purpose of our lives is to feel good. Because when we want something, whether it's a tangible, like material thing, or a pattern for our lives, or money in the bank, when we want something and we can feel good about it, that allows it to come into our space. It literally opens the door and invites that thing in. And when we don't feel good about it and we only focus on the not having of it, not only do we not feel good physically and emotionally, but it's not going to come to us because our focus is on the not having of it. And so if your purpose on this planet is to feel good, Why are we what ifing in a downward spiral? Let's what if and lift us up, because I feel good. And then that thing comes and then I have it and that feels really good. And now, ooh, I want this thing too. Okay, cool. Because that opened up more opportunity for me to see what's possible for me. So what if I can have that? And oh my gosh, that feels so good to imagine having that thing. And oh, it would feel good because what if I get it and then I can do this and this and this and this. And now we're what ifing, and all we do every day is feel good. Can you imagine living that life? It's yours. It is literally why we're here.
I can help more people.
Yes. And I'm not going to lie to you. Growing up, there was a very negative stigma around money. People who had money were jerks. They were spoiled. They were this, they were that. And I think that there's this thing called a money story. So ask yourself what your money story is. And if it's that rich people aren't good people, then you consider yourself a good person, which means that you're never going to have the money that you want. Mm-hmm. Is that what you want? Is that true? Are you claiming that for yourself? I don't think so. So what it is, money is a magnifier. Who this person is how money will reflect them, right? 9 times out of 10, the people who I talk to who want money, who want more abundance, they get so excited about what they can do for other people. And not what the money's going to do for themselves. And that is amazing. And that just proves who we are as a people, even with money. And so it's not about the money. It's about where our focus is. It's about feeling good. And when we feel good, why would you what if yourself into a panic attack? It hasn't happened. You're literally being afraid of a fictional character. Why are you doing that to yourself? You are in control of that.
We were talking about soaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Who shot JR?
But here's the thing. We can be into that and be so excited about who shot JR. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to find out. That's a positive feeling. But if you start taking that like, oh my gosh, what if it's this person and that's going to ruin their son's life? And then what if it's this? And like literally taking it personally. You would think your friend was a crazy person if they started taking the TV show that they were watching and the murders that were being committed or whatever was going on and thinking it was real and literally allowing it to affect their lives. Guess what? That's what anxiety is. That's what worry is.
Julie, you're going to laugh at this. Okay. Back in the 1960s and 70s, there was I don't know if it's still on or not, there was a soap opera called General Hospital. Well, there was a woman, her name was Audrey, and Audrey was constantly in trouble. I mean, as always, she brought negative to her whole life, had an affair, and then was upset because the husband deserted her and all this kind of stuff.
Sounds like a soap opera.
There was a woman in a church who actually, they were having this prayer meeting, and she stood up, and they were doing prayer requests and stuff like this. She literally asked for prayer for Audrey.
Oh, no.
On General Hospital.
That's amazing.
It's fictional.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's so good because it totally proves my point. Because we can laugh at that person, but nobody's laughing at us when we're hyper fixating on things that haven't happened in our world, in our country, in our lives. When we are so fixated and worried to the point where it makes us ill. So many people are on anti-anxiety medication, which I'm not poo-pooing. I'm just saying, why are we medicating ourselves for having nightmares? Just stop having nightmares. Start dreaming. Wrap those nightmares in your head and throw them away. That hasn't happened. I'm not going to put my energy into it. I have no control over that. But what if? What if it's amazing? What if it's everything I always wanted? What if it's not so bad? And if it is bad because you're going through bad and it's like, I've got this thing and I've got to get through it and it's terrible and it sucks and it's bad, Julia. You can't sugarcoat this, whatever it is. Well, guess what? What if this is exactly what needs to happen for something amazing to come into my life? Because every obstacle helps us find something else. Everything always works out for me. So I'm going to get through this and there's going to be a reason for it, but I don't need to worry about the reason right now. I don't have to understand because it's not about the destination. It's about the path. And this is what I'm going through and I am protected and I am safe. So I'm going to keep going and I can't wait to get through it. I can't wait. And all of a sudden I'm excited because I'm almost through this thing.
Absolutely.
And now
you
I
be
feel
able to
good.
help other people. Other people are going through it too. You're not the only person on the earth who's had this
Exactly.
situation. So other
100%.
people are going to have it. I mean,
Yeah.
so let me ask you a question. And this is, we've got a lot about stepmothers, stepfathers,
Yes. Let's go into
stepchildren,
that.
kind of thing. So could this be the issue? Could it be that the stepmother, could it be the stepchildren, the stepfather, could it be they're bringing some of this onto themselves because they expect there to be an issue? Could that be the part of it?
I mean, yes, absolutely. And it could also be that they have other expectations. Maybe they don't expect that it's going to be a problem. Maybe they expect that they're going to be welcomed into these children's arms with open arms, and they're not. And so now all of a sudden that's personal. So I want to tell you that has nothing to do with you. That has to do with whatever trauma or experiences this little child is going through. You have no idea what's coming in from the other ear of the other person. You have no idea what that other the ex-spouse is saying about you, about the situation, about your partner. Like you have, and I'm not saying, I'm not blaming them or anything, but you have no idea what this child has watched that has influenced. I mean, think about all the evil stepmothers out there in all of the fairy tales. And so that is a stigma that that everybody walks into.
Cinderella. I mean, that's a story we've all
Exactly.
heard our entire life. Cinderella.
Exactly. And the evil stepmother. Snow White had an evil stepmother. Like there's so many of them. And that's the thing, is that there's like so many things in life, there is a preconceived idea of what a step parent is going to be.
Yeah.
And you get to break that. And that can be exciting. Instead of being freaked out about it, instead of nightmaring about what could happen, allow yourself as a step person, free yourself from those expectations, from that child, from yourself. And I think what you said in the very beginning about, actually, I don't know if you said this, but just about having a clear communication of, I am not replacing your mom or your dad. I am not. I don't want to. I am not that person. There's no way I ever could, because we are different people. But I hope that you'll get to know me and who I am, and we can establish our relationship from there. You don't have to call me mom or dad. You don't have to any of those things. Let's establish who we are. We can come up with our own nicknames.
You can have the healthiest relationship. I mean, you can be the one.
Exactly.
They're afraid to tell their parents things they've done. And I'm to the most religious person out there. You were young once yourself, okay? People have made mistakes. Yeah. People have done stupid things. I know I have. But you can be the one that could maybe save them from doing something stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can, because you're going to be the one who can listen, and you're not the parent.
And sometimes you can't. Yeah, sometimes you can't come out and say that, though. Tell me everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that ends up happening when you establish trust.
Right.
And when you go into a situation and say, I'm not having any expectations, I just want to be friends. Let's start there. Let's get to know each other. I love your mother, father, whoever this person is. I love them and they love you, which means I know you're amazing because I love them and they love you.
You've taken the fight away when you said that. You have taken the fight away.
And so let's figure out who we are. I want to get to know you, and I hope you'll give me an opportunity to get to know me, knowing full well that I am not going to try to step into anybody's shoes, knowing full well that I don't want to do that. I am not that person. And so in no way am I going to try to be. And understand that when you don't get that, because that will happen, when they're a teenager and they're assholes. Oh, I'm sorry. When they're terrible people and they're figuring out who they are, all of those things. Take some deep breaths. When they attack you and tell you you're not my mom, or you're not, you know what I mean? Or like, you have who the hell are you? You're just sleeping with my father or whatever, like whatever it is. Remember that is not about you. And so you can say to yourself in these arguments and conversations, literally say to yourself, wait, is that true? No, that's not true. This is totally about them. I'm going to let them have their tantrum and I'm going to leave. Or I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to give you some space. And you walk away because you know it has nothing to do with you. And that's true whether you're a step parent or not. 9.5 times out of 10, any situation is not about you. And we instantly take it on. Oh my gosh, are they upset with me? Oh my gosh. No, they were running late and they didn't have time to kiss you goodbye. They were
It's
running
so simple.
out of the house, and were totally fixated on the fact that they couldn't find their keys this morning, and this and this and this and this.
Mhm.
And so they totally forgot to grab the lunch that you packed for them. Not because they're jerks and left it behind intentionally to say, screw you, mom or stepmom or whoever, you know what I mean? No, they were running late, or they were worried about their test, or they were all these
However,
things.
I'll have to tell you, I've got an answer
Okay.
that can stop a lot of this. Okay. So
Okay.
I was the mother. I had the teenage son when Phil and I were married. Okay. So luckily I got to see a situation with one of my aunts and uncles who they would fight, like I'm right, you're wrong as parents, and situations happen. There was even an instance where the daughter killed herself. And so I was like, my antennas were always up. So this is what I told Phil before we got married. I said, this is the situation I want us to have with Brad. He's a teenager. He's going to try. Okay. He just will. He's a human being. Yeah. And I said, when I tell him he can't do something, I need you to go along with me on it, whether you agree with it or not. And I said, and you, if you say he can't do something, I'm going to be on your side about it, because we can't be battling. We can't be in the middle. Well, here comes Brad. He's a teenager. He asked me to go somewhere. And I said, no. All you got to do is say no and don't say another word. They'll get the message. However, he goes to Phil because he's thinking, oh, Phil's my stepfather. He's going to want to be on my side.
Yeah.
Because I was a teenager once myself. Been a long time ago, but I've been one.
Yeah.
So anyway, I could hear him. So he asked Phil if he could do this. And Phil said, have you asked your mother? And he said, yes, sir. And he said, what'd your mother say? He said, she said no. He said, well, the answer, son, is no. That saved us many headaches.
Yeah.
Now, was he perfect as a teenager? No. But what I'm saying is there are so many things because we were steadfast in it. Phil and I had that agreement. Parents need to have an agreement on how they're going to raise the kids. That can stop a lot of that nonsense.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that all of this, everything that we're talking about, comes back down to communication, trust, and not taking things personally. And I think that especially when you think about it, I mean, going through it, because we didn't have as much knowledge as we do now, being a teenager is one of the hardest things in life, because you are literally changing. Your body is changing. Your hormones are all over the place. You start to stink. You start growing hair places that you didn't know could grow hair. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Not to mention the peer pressure and the way our schools are these days, like the bullying and the needing to fit in and the needing to wear the right clothes and the and plus the social media and all, like, if you don't have the money for that
social
kind of
media
stuff,
is even worse.
Like, I mean, exactly. So like, it is hell. And not to mention needing to get good grades so that you can get into a college, so that you can get a master's degree, so that you could maybe get a job. Like, that's the way our society is set up right now. And I want to pull back and say, doesn't have to happen that way, but literally, like, we forget. And so when a child acts out and is a complete jerk, it literally has nothing to do with you. It largely has everything to do with all of those pressures and stresses. And we can say, well, I went through it and I never treated my mom that way. Okay, cool. But they're handling it differently than you did. And so you can continue to support them and give them time. I would highly encourage people in any relationship, when things start to get heightened, stop. When things start to get aggressive, stop. And I don't mean physically, but like verbally aggressive, like literally just say, you know what, we're not going to get anywhere because we're both pretty upset about this. I love you. I know you love me. Let's take a break. Let's go put some music on. I'm going to go start dinner, or I'm going to go for a drive because I don't have to get away from you, because that's not a positive thing. I think we both need a little space. Let's take a couple of breaths. Let's change our perspective, or that actually leads to something else, but let's change our thought process, get into a better feeling place, and then we can come back and actually talk about this, because we're not talking anymore. Now this is just our emotions shouting at each other. And I think it's really important to remember those perspectives. Remember that this is a weird concept, but bear with me. Remember that there's no such thing as reality, because your perspective gives you a completely different reality than my perspective.
Perfect.
We live in the same world, and sometimes in the same house, and have two completely different realities. And so remember that they are absolutely seeing everything. The divorce, the new relationship, maybe the marriage, and now all of a sudden having a step parent. They are seeing that from a completely different perspective than you are. As an adult first, as a partner, as, you know what I mean, as someone hearing from and seeing behaviors that you're not familiar with, parenting that you're not familiar with, all of those things. Like, those are two completely different perspectives. How are we expected to instantly be on the same page when we are coming from two completely different worlds, two completely different realities? And if that's too much of a stretch, think of it this way. There's no such thing as, you know, he said, she said. There's no such, it's not just the two of you. There are actually three truths. My truth, my perspective, your truth, your perspective, and what actually happened. And we're never going to find what actually happened, because I will always have my perspective and you will always have yours. So we have to find a common ground. And when you, as the adult, can realize that, even as if you are an adult with step parents and have trouble being around them, remember that your reality is different than theirs. They grew up in a completely different time. Maybe they've always looked at stepchildren as being the problem because that's how they used to be looked at. You know what I mean? So, like, we never know what the other perspective is. And so that's why we have to remember, this is not about me. How do I want to conduct me from here? I don't want to lose my temper with my stepchild. I don't want to lose my temper with my step parent. And so I don't want to be in that space. So I'm going to stop, and I'm going to realize that what they're saying isn't my truth. And so this is not about me. This is absolutely about them. What I'm saying, what they're saying is true, but I'm not changing it because that's how I believe and that's how I feel. So this is not about me. That is something they're going to have to come to terms with. What they're saying is true, and I could make a change there. I could have not said that, or I could have been a little bit more clear in my communication. So now you say, you know what? And I've said this before here. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm going to work on this thing, and here's what I'm going to do to fix that. I'm going to make sure that I call you a little bit more regularly so that you're more aware of XYZ. I'm going to make sure that I lay out whatever, that I do the lunch, whatever. I don't know what it is for a parent, but like, I'm going to make sure that I do that. I'm going to do that. Conversation's over. Argument's over. All of a sudden, they feel heard. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, wow, she's not mad at me. He's not mad at me. He's actually hearing what I have to say, and is going to change, is going to do something to help me get through that. Or maybe it's, you know what, you're absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. How can we work on that together? Because I'm only willing to go this far. I'm not going to be able to fix that for you. How can you meet me halfway? And now we're having a conversation and a discussion about, let me help you, and you can help me. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Can you tell me more about that? Because I'm not sure I fully understand.
I want to mention something that happened just 2 days ago, and you had a huge influence on the outcome of it. So I'm just telling you guys, you really need to, well, several things in my life since I've met you, but this is a really good one. Okay, so everybody knows I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a conservative. Well, I have a lot of liberal friends. And so there was something that somebody had posted on my Facebook page. So my very good friend, who is a flaming liberal, put something on. Now, I don't go to his site and put anything. Right. I let him have his space. That's his space. But he always feels he has to come and try to rescue me from being conservative. So anyway, he put something on my Facebook page, and I can see he's trying to start a war with me. And so this is the way I always handle all of this. I always say, I love you. I'm not going to argue with you. Right. Now, we're planets apart from each other on our beliefs. I mean, we do not believe anything. But I'm going to tell you what, this guy's an avid gardener. I have learned. So here's what I do with him. And I know you're watching, Chandler. I know you're watching. so I'm telling the whole world what happened there. And it's because of you, Julia. So our common ground is gardening, because I'm an avid gardener too. I'm a master gardener. I went to Auburn University for all this, stuff that I've learned. But I learned my beginnings from him, This guy
Right.
can take a seed that is like a decade old and grow a tomato plant with it. This guy is so good. So this is how I handled him. I said, you know where you need to put your focus because you are awesome at gardening. I mean, I started doing that. Well, then he
Yeah.
responds back, well, most people could be, but they're lazy. So that's what his response was to that. But I'm still not through with him. I
Right.
took a picture. I said, because of what I learned from you, I had comfrey plant, which is like an all natural plant. It's good for
Right.
everything. And
Mhm.
so I have seeds. I planted seeds. I put them in just a plastic around them, made just kind of like this little makeshift greenhouse. I took
Mhm.
a picture of it, and you'll be able to see it. It's on my Facebook page. So I took a picture of it, and I said, what I learned from you. That's all it took.
Yeah.
Chandler stopped arguing with me. He stopped. Well, I didn't argue back, so it really wasn't an argument.
Right.
So,
No.
but it's because of what you said. We have common
Right.
ground. And outside of politics, outside of being conservative, outside of being whatever that
Right.
people are, I'd rather discuss gardening. That's my plot point.
Right. Right.
You guys,
Here's the thing.
I could sit and talk gardening with you all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't see eye to eye on this one thing, but look at all the other
No.
things we have in common. And now we've shifted the focus, and so
Taylor
now we're
is
not
an-
arguing anymore.
He's
And
an
we're
awesome gardener. This guy
Yeah.
could take anything that he could take a dead tree and bring it back to life.
Right.
This guy is not that far, but he is good.
Right. The thing that I think is really important to remember is, and this hit me a lot this last political season, let's say, is that I used to be so adamantly, staunchly in my, let's say, court, right?
Mhm.
That I would look at anybody else in the other court as completely wrong and full of hate and all of these things. But I got to know more people from the other court, and I know these people are not full of hate. I know they're the most loving people, and they want nothing but the best for everyone in the world. And yet, I, from my perspective, see that their, let's say, political beliefs, the things going on in their court, absolutely don't uphold that. That's my perspective. Their perspective see the things that are going on in my court as completely not upholding that, because that's their perspective.
Mhm.
And that's okay. Remembering that we really, truly all have the same common goal of just wanting what's best for us and for our families and for our friends and for the people of this country and the people of the world. That is literally, I'm going to say, at least 80, if not 90% of the populace's
Mhm.
viewpoints, as they just want to live their lives and be able to live their lives. And we all have different perspectives on how would be best. We're all headed in the same direction, right? We're all in this country wanting what's best for ourselves and our country and our countrymen and people. But we're all on different boats. We're all in different vehicles.
Mhm.
And so I love you, Donna. You're in a very different boat than I am. And you're welcome to come and look at the things in my boat. This thing of change, like what you used with this friend of yours, you got that from my boat. Cool. But you don't want to live on my boat. You don't like everything on my boat. And that's cool, because I don't like everything on your boat.
Yeah, but
But
you know
we can
something?
help each other. And I
But
can
when it
still love
boils
you.
down
And
to
we're
it-
on the same journey. We're just in different boats. And that's okay. There's nothing
But-
wrong with that.
Yeah, but when it boils down to it, everybody has to eat, right? Okay,
Yeah.
it starts with a seed. It starts
That's what I
with
mean. You're so funny.
That's all it starts
Well,
with.
I
The
would
rest of
have
it
to
is
disagree with your
cool.
friend Chandler, because I can't grow crap. I like literally
Oh,
struggle
yes,
to
you
keep a
could.
green plant alive. And they're like, it's literally, I'm good at a lot of stuff. And I have friends say to me like, what are you bad at? And I'm like, gardening or floral arrangements. I cannot arrange
Now
florals
that I
for
can't
crap.
do. I can't do the
But at the same time, it's not because I'm lazy. It's because it doesn't resonate with me. It's not my thing. And
Yeah,
that's cool, because there's a lot of things that I do that aren't yours. And that's what makes us us. That's what makes us so unique and special. We're all on our own boats going in the same direction. And we can help each other when we need to, but we don't have to hate each other because we're in a different boat. That's silly. That's absolutely silly.
We're going to have to call it a day. This is the end of the
Okay,
show. But I will
sorry.
tell you this. This is like a personal invitation. You come to Abbeville, South Carolina. Okay, you come down there. You can have a bunch of my tomatoes, and we'll eat tomato sandwich.
That sounds amazing. I love tomatoes. I eat
And
tomatoes like apples.
Oh, I do too. They're fruit, you know.
They are. They are.
They literally are. Julia, thank you so much. Hang around because I'm going to
Absolutely.
have you on the show next month too.
That'd be amazing.
Okay, and guys, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you. Send emails. We love them. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.